cramp.
Hey.
Oh, I got
Hey, a cramp.
ah. Oh,
That's a sign, man. That's a sign.
how have I got cramp?
Mate, what are you doing?
Welcome to the warm-up. It's episode 13, we think, so unlucky for some, probably us today. The window shut with a whimper on Monday, and I had a look around. Nothing really took my fancy, if I'm being honest, so I stuck with my front two, of course. My bestie, the ambassador, Marcus Gale. And to be fair, we had to reject numerous bids for this man. He's the Messi to our Suarez and Neymar. He is, of course, Brentford women's gaffer and serial challenge winner these days, Karleigh Osborne. How are you, boys?
All good, Stu. How are you?
I'm all right.
Very
Guess
well.
what?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
You're not going to get... I said, guess what?
Go on, what?
Go on. What we
I
get?
showered.
Yes!
Oh, well, the internet was a lot smoother at your end than normal, so something must have been happening over there.
I've only showered because I had to go get my raiding sorted this morning.
It's nice of you. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they look like they've been showered.
Yeah, a little corn on the cob mouth, ain't I? Anyway, big win last night, wasn't it?
Very.
Great win. Important win. Keeps us on that unbeaten streak. So, yeah, very happy with what we saw last game.
Pontus Jansson's so good he can get man of the match without even playing.
He was vocal, wasn't he? It was good to see, though. It just goes to show, you know, how connected the squad are and how it matters to everyone, even when you're not involved.
Winston Reid signing on Monday. Not a bad little deal that, was it?
It's a good move. Sensible move as well. Gives the squad a bit more sort of reliability in that position and someone that we can recall on.
He's coming on later. Got any questions, boys?
Yeah,
I've got one or two.
Only because I made you, because you weren't doing your homework again, either of you. But luckily, you lot at home have sent us some questions. Thanks for doing that. We'll pick our favourites and put them to Winston later on. I'm going to have to ask you lot again. I'm really sorry. Lads, what do we want them to do?
Like and subscribe.
That's one thing you get that right every week. I hate doing that. It's all a bit YouTuber, isn't it? I'm really sorry. But as a favour in return, why don't we give you guys a chance to win a signed Sergi Ultimate Team card? Stay tuned and we'll let you know how you can win that at the end of the show today. At this point, I feel like it's probably my job to tell you what's coming up in store later. Of course, we will be dissecting last night's 3-2 win against Bristol City under the Sky cameras and the lights. Now, we've got two big away games coming up in Borough and Reading. We'll preview those. And talking of Reading, that is, of course, a fixture Sergi knows all too well. We always ask him the question. He doesn't answer it. So I went direct to him last night after the Bristol City game. I said, Sergi, how did you score that goal? And he told me. And when Father Christmas has got his feet up in January, there's no busier man than Phil Giles. You may have seen his transfer update on the social channels this week. If you haven't, check it out. I also got a bit of time with him after that and delved a little bit deeper into the man himself. That's coming up later in the show. What a show it's going to be, because alongside him, one man that he did bring to the club, Winston Reid, here with us on the warm-up with an exclusive chat for you guys. Unbelievable scenes, isn't it, lads? What a show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Jam as normal, yeah.
Very calm from you. I like it. You're keeping us... Because at the moment, I'll be honest, do you remember at the end of last season, I lost my head because I got all giddy because we went on this run. You were there for me. You calmed me down. I'm going to need you again because I'm getting a bit excited, if I'm being honest. So should we talk about last night? 19 unbeaten now in the league. I am getting carried away. But I'm allowed to, aren't I, a bit? Because it's exciting, right?
It's definitely exciting times. The unbeaten run continues. I think there's a different sort of air of confidence this season with the team, I can feel. Is that there is like an expectation that they feel that they can fulfill and get us all the way through to the end of this campaign and victorious and try and get into that Premier League. So yeah, feels a bit different this year.
Well, let's look at that match. And I know it's not about how you start anything, it's about how you finish. But no need for that start yesterday, was there, Karleigh?
No, there was no need. But I think it's just to make the game a little bit more exciting and possibly give the fans a little bit of a scare. They recovered well though, and obviously grew stronger and stronger from that moment. Eventually getting the win, which was fantastic, and it was a good performance overall.
We've conceded 8 goals now from set pieces this season, which is the 3rd highest total in the league. But there's like 11 teams around there. But putting it into perspective, we've only conceded 26 goals all season. So that's nearly a third of our goals conceded, quick maths, have come from set pieces. I don't want to be all Nelly negative here because obviously there's so many positives. But do you think we'll be looking at that and going, if we can iron out a few of those, all of a sudden that takes us to another? Because we've got the best goal difference in the league already. And set pieces, to me, seem like an area, if you can stop conceding from there, it's a lot easier to do that.
Yeah, the issue is, is trying to stop it from source. The goal the other night, it's come from a wide free kick given away by Dalsgaard, which I thought was quite harsh. But it's still a very good ball that's whipped in. It's caused problems at the back post area, and it's gone in. We saw this against Wickham in the previous game. We looked a little bit vulnerable at crosses, but we've got enough time to rectify those things and try and stop it at source.
That's the negatives gone, because there's so many positives. Karleigh, who impressed you last night?
I thought Ivan was brilliant again, and I thought he did well. Mads, for me, he's just growing stronger and stronger. He looks more and more of a leader. So they really stood out. And of course, Tarek Fosu performed well again as well.
And Sergi got us back into the game. He's another man that's on fire at the moment. I love watching him at the moment. He's got that. He's demanding. He's exciting. He's making things happen. He looks confident. The first goal, it looks simple, but he's got to be in the right place at the right time, hasn't he, Marcus?
Yeah, he arrived on the time, right on spot. Good little ball in by Tariq, a lot of pace. Gave the keeper a lot of problems, who's parried it out into the path of Sergi, who, first time, little bounce, but he can put that in no problem as he did.
And talking about keepers, again, we've mentioned before that we have a little WhatsApp, and sometimes some people will put stuff in there. Marcus, yesterday you did so, and you mentioned a big turning point in the game could have potentially been, it was like 20 seconds, I think, into the second half. David Raya makes that save. That was a big moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a big moment in the game on reflection of it. Bristol, they came out full of fighting spirit. They had a very good first half, and they came out and started that second period in the same vein. So for that save after 20 seconds or so, a low shot down to his left, he's kept it out. And I think that keeps us, bubbling. It keeps us on our toes, and it set us up for the victory in the end.
But then it almost kind of went the way of the Wickham game, where we just steamrolled it. And there's that great clip that we had of Bayoak and Fenway. You can hear him in the background saying, every time they go through, they score. And that's what it literally does feel like with us at the moment again. That's what we kind of had at the back end of last season. It wasn't always like that, though, this year. So, Karleigh, what's the difference now?
I feel that there's just a greater understanding between all the players. Everyone's kind of bedded in. All the new ones that came in have bedded in. And everyone has a greater understanding of what Thomas Frank wants from the team and how he wants the team to play. And it's exciting to watch. And it's what you want to see this time of the season, coming into the end of the season as we progress. This is the kind of performances you want to see, where they're exciting performances, but it's a solid performance, and that the team is ticking and really delivering what is wanted.
And Ivan gets the second 5 minutes into the second half. He's now the third player in consecutive seasons to get to that figure since 1960-61 season. At this stage of last season, Ollie was on 15 goals. And that just surely highlights what an achievement this is from Ivan so far, Marcus.
Yeah, it's a remarkable season. I think everybody knew the capabilities of what this kid has in front of goal. He's delivered that. Probably a little bit ahead of schedule. To get 20 by this stage of the season is amazing. The scary thing is how many can he go and claim by the end of this season. He's still got quite a lot of games to go. So it's a staggering amount that he could possibly get.
I think Sky had like a projected thing. It said like 35. But I don't know how you can work that out. Anyway, I want to look at that goal in particular because it was a brilliant assist from Tariq. But also, I want to get your side of this, Karleigh, because from Ivan's point of view, it looks quite elementary and quite straightforward. But that's a nightmare for a defender, and he's done really well there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done really well, and it's his movement that makes it. He does two movements, and this is something that strikers are taught, but putting it into the game and timing it right are two different things. And he does his movement to draw the defender out of the kind of the near space, and then as that happens and the ball comes in, which is a fantastic ball, he then darts across the front of the defender. It was a really good goal and a great bit of movement from him, and he's created that space by being clever.
Saman gets the third, icing on the cake. We're starting to see what he can do, aren't we, Marcus?
Yeah, he's sharper. Like he's lost a little bit of weight as well. He's always got that ability in him, but we're seeing the best of him now coming through in a slightly different position. He's more central, and I think that's a benefit for his style of game where he can arrive into the box. He's more sort of influential, getting onto the ball in certain areas of the pitch, and just delightful that he's scoring goals as well now.
And we're picking out a few individuals. And before we wrap this up, there's one man we can't ignore. He's had to bide his time a little bit. Tariq Fosu. Talk to me, because I've said it before about other people. Ballon d'Or. Give him the Ballon.
He's doing well. I mean, when he first came in, he took a little bit of time to settle, kind of understand the Brentford way, I suppose. But, you can see he's worked that out now, and the staff and the players around him have obviously given him the confidence to go and express himself, because he's put in some fantastic performances, and we hope he keeps growing from strength to strength, because he'll be a real player for Brentford.
I just love him. He just seems like such a lovely, lovely guy as well, and I'm lucky enough to have spent a bit of time with him in features. He's just such a top guy. Lads, can I ask you something?
Of course.
Well, how did Sergi score that goal against Reading?
I don't know. How did Sergi score that goal?
Well, seriously, I know he's got a great relationship with us all, but we all ask him that every single match, and he never answers. Until now.
I just had one thing in my head. Score.
Canos into the box here. This is promising. Sergi Canos on his left foot. Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! What a goal from Sergi Canos!
I think it's maybe the best goal I've ever scored. Also, in front of the Brentford fans. It was all connected. I think it was a fantastic moment for me. Beats plays to Sergi, and I see he plays to Woodsy, and he makes an unbelievable pass to me, and I just beat the first man and the second, and I just had one thing on my head at that time. The pass from Woodsy is just incredible, and I make a little touch to the fullback. It looks like he joins the celebration. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But it's a foul, I think. Well, I touched him a little bit because I knew he was gonna try and get it, but I touched him a little bit, but he joins the celebration, so he's good. As soon as I go past Hector, I think it's the centre back, I knew that ball was gonna go straight to the far post. I just had one thing in my head. Score. The celebration was, I had it in mind for a quite a long time, because I came on loan and I was coming on, but I couldn't really show what I was about, and when I scored that goal, I just wanted to let everyone know that Sergi Canos was that player.
Sergi Canos on his left foot. Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! What a goal from Sergi Canos!
Love that, man. What a goal it was, boys. Best goal you scored?
I've got to say, I would say my first ever goal for Brentford was against Reading at Elm Park many, many decades ago. I would rank that as one of my best Brentford goals.
Peaked on your debut. Karleigh, what was it, like a 3-yard header?
You wished, mate. I didn't score many headers, to be fair. Just volleyed them in most of the time. But Yeah, mine's a toss-up between the two, but I'd have to probably say my Eastbourne goal against Barrow. 20, must be about 28, 30 yards out. Ball's dropped out to me to edge of box, little chip over someone's head, and then volley into the top corner. Run away screaming, then realised that we was losing. So, just kind of went back and started defending.
You've basically just described Gazza's goal against Scotland there, so I'm not sure I'm buying that. Anyway.
Listen, you'll get access to it. Get on Setanta. It was on there.
Oh, conveniently, Setanta. Yeah, Setanta doesn't exist anymore, does it, Marcus? So we know why he's saying, Anyway, right, boys. Football, come on. Brentford, tricky little run of fixtures. Borough away tomorrow, and then Reading, of course, on Wednesday, followed by Barnsley, and then the derby against QPR. But like everyone keeps telling me, one game at a time. Middlesbrough. Window-wise, did a lot of business. Darnell Fisher, Jordan Archer, Balassi, Mendes Lang, Niskins Cabano from Fulham. They've recruited well, haven't they, to be fair?
Yeah, they have. They've added some good quality in there, especially for this level. And they're trying to make a good go of it compared to last year, where there was probably down and out and nowhere near contention. But this year they've made the changes and seen the improvements come through.
They are in the playoff picture, like Bristol City were. What are we in store for on Saturday, Karleigh?
I think, with those signings that they've added, there's going to be a lot of, sort of pace they put in the team. They're going to be looking to provide and create more end product. But Brentford just need to stay compact and solid, well organised, and it'll be a good game.
And I don't know what it is. There's something in me as a fan that when you hear like Middlesbrough away, subconsciously I go, "Oh, tough," just because of the geography of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the far away trips, you think, "Oh." Players don't care about that, do they? It doesn't affect them.
Anything that affects players is the travelling, and this modern day world that we live in with players. I'm sure they'll have a luxurious trip up there where they can relax and recuperate and get ready for that tough game. And I'm sure the boys can do that.
They'll probably fly, wouldn't they? Anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not in charge of travel, and they've probably booked it already anyway. Last time at home, they got biffed 3-0 by Rotherham Borough. But then they draw away at Norwich the game after. I know Norwich went down to 10 men. Does that just highlight this league and that saying anyone can beat anyone in the Championship, can't they?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. This season's obviously been a strange season. It's been back-to-back games. So there's probably a lot more fatigue in teams, physically and mentally as well. So, it just goes to show that anyone can beat anyone on their day, but it makes it more exciting.
Hands up, who underestimated Reading? We go to them on Wednesday. I'll put my hand up. Well underwhelmed.
Yeah, I would go along with that as well. And that was just based on what I saw last season. So for them to perform how they have done this season, it's been nothing short of remarkable. They've stayed consistent, and that makes them very dangerous. Saw the game, was it last weekend versus Bournemouth? And I was surprised at how they started and kept that sort of pressure on Bournemouth.
Lucas Zhao, I mean, he's been around this level for a while, but he's up there with Ivan at the moment. He's been incredible this season for them.
Yeah, he's hit a real bit of form and he's showing what he's capable of. It's going to be a tough task to deal with him, but Brentford are more than equipped and ready to do that. But like I said, he's a good forward who's going to cause problems, but Brentford will be ready for that. We touched on Borough's transfer dealings in January just then. It was a quieter window for ourselves, Sam Ann being made permanent and, of course, Winston Reid joining on loan, as well as some B-team deals. If you haven't seen Phil Giles' review of the window with Chris Wickham, it's a great watch. That's on our channels now. I also spent a bit of time with Phil to get to know him a little bit better. We had a lovely time, and here it is.
Phil, thanks for joining me. How are you?
Very good, yeah? Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Look,
Good.
You do a lot of talking about coaches and players, so I thought we'd have a little chat about you. That's what people want to do, if you're all right with that.
I'm fine with that, but can you edit it to make me look interesting, funny,
We don't need to do that.
Just edit it, yeah?
Well, I've done my research, but it doesn't take a lot to tell this. Newcastle fan growing up?
Yeah, big Newcastle fan, yeah. Was going from the 1980s, some Gascoigne beers, these players coming through, and then I had a season ticket from 1990 till 2015 when I started here.
Wow, so who were your heroes growing up, those ones that you mentioned there?
I was a bit young in those days. I mean, most of the time when I was really young, we were rubbish. We being Newcastle in this context, not we being Brentford, but maybe both. I don't know. That's something for me to say, but no, it was only in the early 90s when they started to get players like Andy Cole coming through, and then my all-time favourite player was Les Ferdinand, which is ironic because he does my job now, just down the road at QPR. So
your rivals now.
Yeah, exactly. So rivals, but also it's good to see him at the games and stuff like that. So I never thought, all those years ago that would be the case now.
Yeah. And did you play as well?
Oh, at a really bad level. I mean, as a kid, you always dream of, I'm going to be 16. I'll probably play for Newcastle. But
more Guy March.
Yeah, no.
More Guy March than Ferdinand.
Yeah, maybe. But he played in the World Cup, so I think that maybe I'll be stretching it a little bit still.
So was that the dream as a young kid? You wanted to be a footballer, pretty much everyone else?
Yeah, most kids, football or rock star was all football all the way. So it was just probably most people look at you saying, wasting your time playing football and reading about football and going to all the matches and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was probably useful in the end, doing all that stuff. But I was never ever going to be any good.
So then we fast forward, the opportunity comes up to work for Brentford, because obviously you've been doing stuff before with Matthew. Yeah. Was that just, no hesitation?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like kind of a moment in time, like a point at which somebody came to me and said, oh, do you want to work for Brentford? It was more because the people I was working with were people who were also directors of the club, and Matthew obviously. I just slowly started to get more involved with certain things, outside of, just things like asking, well, what do you think? What do you think we should do here? What do you think we should do there? Do you want to come and speak to this person? Can you go and have a conversation there? I got Mark Woolman invite me in to have a conversation with the players, back in the season the championship season when he was in charge. Which I did, and it was enjoyable and stuff. So I just sort of slowly got myself immersed more and more.
Because I think you've got the best job in football.
You think?
I think you've got one of the best jobs in the world.
Okay. Well, do you want to try on transfer deadline night when you're trying to do a deal, and we'll see about that.
Well, because I think maybe I've got the wrong. From the outside looking in, it's almost like you've got the fun parts of Championship Manager and Football Manager. You don't have to worry so much about the tactics. You can just do the fun transfers.
Well, yeah. I mean, the day-to-day, I don't have to worry about that. I mean, it's not. But director of football, you're known as that's probably what you're known for, is buying and selling the players. That's when you pop up and I'll do an interview at the end of the window and say, we try to do this and that, and we failed to sign him, and we failed to sign him. But actually, most of the time is spent not on transfers. Most of the time is spent working with the staff who were at the club. So obviously Thomas, but also people like Chris Haslam, who's head of performance, or Neil Gregg, head of medical, or Luke Stockford, head of analysis, or Lee Dykes, head of recruitment, or Lisa, or secretary, or whatever. It's actually working with those people and making sure that mine and Rasmus's most important job is to make sure that we have really good people working throughout the club and the particular football department. That's the most important thing. It's not just players; it's also the off-field stuff. So 80% of the year is spent more on that and working on planning and strategy and what do we need to improve, not just buy better players, but and that's the enjoyable bit, because you work with good people, right?
So that's the enjoyable bit. What's the hardest bit?
The hardest bit is probably the transfer window right at the end, when it gets stressful, when you're trying to get a player in or you do a deal or whatever. And I've had situations where we've been sat in Griffin Park and the window closes at 11 p.m. on whatever night it was, or Thursday night, whatever it was, and you're sitting there with 5 minutes to go, and you've got an agent on the phone, and he's trying to get some paperwork through, and he's shouting, and he's sending you as a photograph, and I'm shouting on the phone going, I don't want a photograph, you've got to scan it. And the player's sat in a hotel somewhere in the Czech Republic, and he's like, I don't know how to use the printer, I'm in a hotel. Like,
they're the bits that we don't see, that you imagine don't have. You think it's just so smooth.
Yeah, they're like, I'm like, I try and I like to think I'm a calm person. Some people might disagree most of the time. But then when you sort of having to shout at people, say, when you get this scanned into the computer and send it now, or you're going to miss the deadline. And then we missed the deadline by 17 seconds, so no one knows this, right? It just sort of, we've missed deadlines both for players, and you just sort of, well, forget it, whatever. And I was at Griffin Park at 1 a.m. trying to unpick that. Did we hit the deadline? Did we not hit the deadline? And then we missed it on a player. And then I'm on the phone with Rasmus, and Rasmus, we missed it, and I ended up shouting at this agent. And he's like, "Yeah, well, he's one of the biggest agents in Europe, or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh well, he's just got the thick end of my
One of the biggest agents in Europe, but can't use a scanner.
Oh well, it's because the player was on international duty, right? So he was in a team hotel somewhere, and so he was trying to work out how to use the scanner or printer to send over a contract, which we missed the deadline. So, and actually, all's well that ends well. Yeah. No big deal. Move on.
I know you've got a lot of people that watch football for you and scouts, but how much football do you watch a week, would you say?
Less than I probably did, if only because I'm so immersed in it. Like just sitting and putting on a random game is just like less appealing.
Yeah.
Even like Newcastle, obviously, were my big team. Obviously, Brentford now is most important. Maybe I'll go back to Newcastle one day, long term. But even then, when they're playing, I'm not like, oh, you know, it's on the telly. I must sit and watch it. I just try and you've got to take yourself out of it as well a little bit, I think.
Do you watch it differently? Because I think, having worked in football and stuff now, I watch games even differently, and I don't watch it. I'll still watch it as a fan, but if it's not my team, I'm always thinking of like content-y things and things like that. So do you do the same?
I'm less concerned about content, to be honest with you. You can stick with that, but yeah, it's mostly through my because before I came here, I was working with Matthew in what he's done previously, which is obviously in sports betting, and you kind of learn when you're doing that there's a whole load of random stuff going on, and so you're trying to like kind of just forget all the random stuff and focus on what actually means something. And also you get very used when you're in betting to good goals right at the end of games being really great for you or really killing you, you know, in terms of like, and so you kind of get numbed a little bit by these kind of last minute swings. It's just it is what it is, right? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, so you sort of lose a little bit of that kind of emotional side of it. It sort of gets a little bit more kind of you just understand that sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it doesn't, and try not to get too swayed by that in terms of your thinking, which I think is good in this role as well, because you don't want to. The last thing you want to be doing is after a game or whatever, going and changing room and being completely emotional about whatever's happened about the result. I try and go in there and be totally objective about it, whatever's happened, you know.
And do you have to do the same with players, for example, because we've all got our favourite players, but they're not necessarily the best players or the right fit for teams. So do you have to sometimes go, right, that's Phil Giles, the fan there, let's leave that there?
Yeah, so when you look at players, I mean, I try not to look at players and sort of try and work out what's good for us. I try and leave that to the staff. I have an idea of what I think is right, but what I've learned over time is that a good player can be a really bad player in the wrong team. So we could buy some players who look like good players and put them in our system the way we like to play, and it could be different to a player who maybe would go into Leeds, be really good in the Leeds team because Bielsa's looking for, he plays man-to-man all over the pitch. He's looking for that high energy, high work rate, and we look for that, but we play in a different way. So there's good players, and then there's good players in the right system. And perhaps over the years we've tried to bring out the best of players because they've been playing in the right system for them, and understand what to do, and that's made them look their best.
That seems to be something that you see with managers and players so often, that you'll see, well, this manager's got all those players at their disposal, why aren't they winning? Yeah. And I guess that's why, is it? Because they're not being bought with specific roles in mind. They're just being bought, well, that person scored 30 goals in Serie A, so he'll do that now here.
Yeah, you see that a lot of like players looking over from overseas and coming to this country and maybe not playing the same way and not having that adaptation period, and then they go, you think, they're hopeless, they're no good, and then they go to Spain and like someone like Diego Forlan, for example, he comes into Man United and they're like, well, is he quite a Man United player or whatever, and then he goes into Spain, he smashes in a load of goals and he's playing in World Cups, and you think he's a good player actually, isn't he? Not to say that he didn't do well for Man United, but going back years, John Dahl Thomason was a Newcastle player, he came in very young and was played out of position because he was basically number 10. He should have been playing behind the striker, but Alan Shearer had done his ankle pre-season one year, and he ended up playing as a number 9 out and out striker as a kid, basically. He was about 20, 21, coming from Dutch football, which is totally different to English football anyway, and he's got to adapt to Premier League football as a young kid, so it didn't really work for him, and I think at the end of that season he ends up leaving. And I think now is he the all-time Danish record goal scorer, played for Milan, won Champions League and all the rest of it, and you just think, well, maybe given a bit more time, playing in his correct role, and building a team around him, he could have been more effective had he had a bit more time. But that's something we try and give the players here is time. It takes time. You see that all the time. You see Saman, who playing Bristol City tonight, just needs games. He needs to get in the team, get a momentum into this game. Play 6, 7, 8 games. It's difficult now, team, because we've got so many good players, right? But when you see that, I'm pretty confident that you start seeing the real player come out.
I can tell you're too rational to be a fan anymore. I can tell as a fan I'm nowhere near as rational as you. So when you're in the pub with your mates and they're maybe being a bit more emotional like I am, will you sometimes bite your tongue and go, or will you actually say, actually, think about this? Because if I was, I'd like to be hearing this stuff. If I was saying something that was absolutely outrageous, after a few pints that was just ridiculous.
Well, I'd just tell you shut up. There would be no rationality about it. I'd probably had a few pints as well. It'd be a punch-up probably. but yeah, I try to, but equally, like, there's also an element which is about opinions as well. Like, you know, Rasmus and I won't sit there and agree about something. We'll sit there and say, no, I think this. I think we need this player. I think we need this player. I think we need this type of player. And we'll see what everyone else thinks as well. So it's not like kind of I can sit there somehow like superior saying, well, hang on, I work as a football, I know better than you. No, like, everyone's got their opinion.
It's interesting you mentioned Rasmus. I was going to ask about that. How often do you two fall out over players?
we never fall out. I tell you what, we always have a constructive, healthy debate, disagreement. I think that's actually quite good as well, that we will disagree constructively with all the other stuff as well, like, and demonstrate that what we want to see from everyone is healthy debate and constructive opinions, and then demonstrate a way to kind of reach a collective opinion at the end that we all buy into. I think that's a really powerful thing. So that's what we try and do in practice. And the other thing which is quite helpful, I think, having two directors of football, not one, is when we buy a player, normally one of us will lead on that player and be involved with negotiating with the player, with the club, and try and complete the deal. And the other one's a little bit more maybe on the sidelines, maybe working on another project. And it's very easy to get emotionally invested in that player because you've worked so hard on it, and you get towards the end of a deadline and you just think, oh, it's only, you know, if we just spend another 500k, we get this done, and, like, you know, you desperately want to get it done, but sometimes it needs another person, and Matthew would also be that person as well to say, it's just going, you know, no, stop, you know, this is not the right deal right now. We should perhaps go for this player or this player. So that's really healthy that, like, you know, we've got two people. If you get two people doing the job who get along well and can constructively critique each other, that's a healthier outcome, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And obviously we've just come at the end of a window. A lot of people probably think, right, that's you, job done, feet up, see you in the summer, but you've already said you've got a hell of a lot more to be doing.
Yeah, and I do a few bits with Matthew outside of Brentford as well, which I can focus on outside the window. But no, we'll sit down now, probably next week, with myself, Rasmus, Lee Dykes, and we'll have a thought about what do we need for the summer, what's happening. I've already went through the end of the window. I'll go through all of our contracts, who's coming up, who's out in the summer, who's got 1 year to go out the summer, who's got 2 years. Do we want to look again at offering contracts and things? So you're always kind of planning ahead to say, like, you know, what do we need to do next? What do we need to do next? And thinking ahead, and that's vital. You can't just won't be feet up for 3 months and then I'll see you in the summer again. That's for sure.
I was going to say, do you get a break? It sounds like you're never off.
No, not really. Actually, next week I think I'm going to be homeschooling, so I might do a bit of that. But yeah, no, it's yeah. If you enjoy what you're doing, then it's like, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, there's no problem there. You have to kind of live it as well. Like, otherwise, if it becomes a job, then you can't have a weekend off, can you, when you're watching football?
No.
So yeah, but that's I think it's a healthy obsession.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Phil. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Marcus, I know it's a big team, but you really do feel like the club's in good hands at the moment, don't you?
Yeah, we've got two unique directors of football. And as Karleigh said, they're both brilliant in their minds and how they think about the game, how they process that information, and we see the benefits out on the pitch. And I think that's a credit to them and the club alike. So pleased that they're doing their business, and it's built up a lot of trust for the fans as well. There's no panic. We've not seen any sort of panic in this last window we've had, and I think that's just down to the recruitment side of it.
Well, they worked their magic to bring this man to the club, an international skipper, a Premier League skipper. He scored the last ever goal at Upton Park, and he scored in a World Cup. It is, of course, Winston Reid. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you.
You've only been here a week, but with what's going on in football at the moment, a lot's happened in a week. How have your first few days been?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, it's just trying to remember everyone's names. You know, that's how it is coming to a new club. Just meeting new people, and even though I knew a few beforehand, not in person but by name. But it's good, man. It's always good to come into a new environment and meet new people, and yeah, something I'm looking forward to.
Hi, Winston, Marcus here. I remember when I left Brentford many decades ago to go to the Premier League with Wimbledon. I remember being excited, a bit nervous as well. What has been your first day like at the club?
I think it was quite easy. Like I said, I knew people by name beforehand. I also know some of the people behind the scenes as well. The area for me, it's even though it's probably in 45 minutes, an hour away from there, it's still local. So it's been pretty easy transition, and it's just basically just getting into the thick of things. Really, just go out and training and getting to know the guys, and just being helpful around the group.
What were those first impressions this week?
No, good. Players, good. Staff. It's a very collective group. There's a good bond between the spirit and the camp. Obviously the club are trying to push for promotion, and it's a good club. It's built on good values, and like I said, good group around the guys. It's nice to be around the training ground, so it's been really good.
Hi Winston, Karleigh here. You okay?
Yeah, how mate?
You've been obviously promoted before from the Championship with West Ham and stuff. What do you feel you need, in the Championship to get promoted?
I think for me personally, it's just coming into the group and understanding of how the group wants to work. But the guys and the team have been doing well, and have been unbeaten. I can't remember how many games now. It's a lot. I think it's like 17, 18, something like that. Yeah. 19. So yeah, tough league, relentless, lots of games, but enjoyable as well. I think that most footballers would rather play games than train, So it's a plus that there's a lot of games.
Well, you've already played. You made your debut against Bristol City last night. As debuts go, how did you find it?
I would have loved that if there were fans there, but that's the world we live in at the moment. But it was nice to get out there. Wasn't so nice to concede a late goal, but it was good for the group as a whole to get a win and keep climbing the ladder on the table. And like I said, if the team wants to get promotion, so it's always good to pick up points.
Yeah, I'm a defender myself, so I've been in a situation where I've had to come on and stuff like that before, and it's never a nice situation really sometimes. But how did you find and how did you deal with coming on yesterday? And did you feel like it was a good time for you to come on?
Yeah, it's fine. I think whether you're starting or you're sitting on the bench, everyone in the squad has to play a role, and you might be called upon to play after the 10th minute or the 20th or in the 85th minute. So it's up to you as an individual to stay ready and prepare yourself for whatever comes. So they told me, I think at the hour mark, that I might need to come on for the last 10 minutes or so if need be. So I had to warm the body up a little bit longer than usual, but that was fine. So it was good to get on the pitch. It's always nice to make a debut for a new club.
When you came on, we could see you were talking the team, not just the defence, through the game. I saw you talking to Vitali a lot, and you're really kind of guiding us through the last 5 or so minutes. We could also hear throughout the game and while you're on Pontus up in the stands. Could you hear him when you were on the pitch?
Yeah, I could hear. I actually didn't know it was him. I could hear someone shouting in the back. So I had to turn a couple of times, and they told me who it was. So no, it's good, man. It just shows passion about the team and wanting to do well. And you can never have too many of those characters. We've all been in dressing rooms before. The more winners you have in and around the group, the better it is.
Yeah, we also saw you at the end of the game having a little chat with Mads Bech Sorensen. I like all that. I love all that, to be fair. Senior player coming in and passing on that sort of knowledge and experience. What was you talking about?
No, just different situations throughout the game. Obviously, like I said, mentioned before, the league is a tough league, and especially I tried it for myself as a young defender. You play against some big boys sometimes, and it's not the easiest. But he did really well. And then just a few tips on here and there if when you can do things better. It's just stuff you learn over the years of being in the game and knowing the ins and outs of what opponents are trying to do. So yeah, just not a lot really, just having a bit of a chat and that was it. But like I said before, anything we can do together as a unit and help the group is good.
That's going to be vital as we go towards the season, because obviously it's a very young squad. The fans are absolutely buzzing that you're here, mate. We've had loads of questions for you. So I'm going to start off with Jack Lauder 99, who echoes that. He says, "We're delighted to have you here, but what influenced your decision to join us?"
Beforehand, I didn't, because I'd been away in America, and I came back, and then I had to figure out my situation at West Ham, in that point of time. And then literally, like I said before, I knew people sort of behind the scenes in and around the club. Spoke to them and they told me what they sort of were looking for, and spoke to my agents and everything and family, and just thought it was a good fit. So it was just something went on my gut, really, basically, just to it was just something, come back to England, help the team and try to get promoted. Really, it was pretty simple as that. It wasn't too much thinking about it, really. It was just just something I want to go for, and it's good. I'm happy. I made a good decision, and the groups were really good.
Joe Carroll 99 wants to know, which player has impressed you the most in training?
It's a good question. We've only had a training session so far, so you're putting me on the spot here.
You've had to try and handle Ivan, I imagine, in training.
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, I've heard good things about him. Big, strong boy. He's got ability with his feet. He's got a good hold-up play. He's got decent pace in behind, and he's been scoring some goals. So as a striker, you can never go wrong with that. Like the winner, T on the wing, he's been doing well as well. I'm a centre half. I thought the two centre halves have been doing as well. Consider it in a game. I'm not talking about training. It's because I haven't trained as much. So I'm just going by the game here, pretty much. But I think as a group and whole, but probably those four have stood out for me so far.
Winston, I've got a question from our fan Hamish. He wants to know, who's the best player you've played with?
I've been fortunate to play with a lot of players, but Dimitri Payet, he was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was a great player. You could give him the ball anywhere, anytime. He would take it, deal with it, pass it on. He had a bit of magic. Even though it was a short spell, he had with us for various reasons, but he had a season probably that, as a player, that I've never seen. So yeah, probably him, just for amazing season he had. But in terms of otherwise, apart from that, I play with a good pro, Mark Noble. He's been at the West Ham for a numerous amount of years, and to go through some of the times he had as well. Just a good pro, and just good in and around the club and as a player as well. So yeah.
What about against?
Against?
You played against some players.
A lot.
World Cups?
A lot. Bale in his prime, when Bale was, I know he's back now, but Spurs the first time around, it was very hard to mark him. Suarez, when he played when he was at Liverpool as well. Van Persie, difficult striker to play against. De Bruyne, he was also. There's so much quality in that league, especially now with the finances and everything. That there's so many players that are top level. But those are the ones that just jump to my mind. I'm leaving out. I play against Ryan Giggs as well. Paul Scholes, unbelievable players. There's so many.
Wow. The names are just reeling off. Marcus, you'd have played against Ryan Giggs, right?
Yep, I did in my time in the Premier League. Very talented individual, but he was surrounded by many other talented people as well. So the list is a long list.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's just, yeah. I've been fortunate enough to play, against those players, and sometimes you come off the pitch and you've been given a hiding, but it's just one of those things you learn from, and you also, that's the level what players want to get to. So and they put the hard work in to get there, and it just shows. It just actually shows how much dedication and professionalism they put into the game.
Look, I'll let you get off because I know you've got to get ready for a big old trip up to Middlesbrough tomorrow. But I appreciate your time, Winston.
All right, thanks, guys, man. Appreciate you all.
Lads, Winston Reid, what a man. How much of an influence is he going to have, not just on the pitch, but around the squad?
Well, he's going to have that sort of air of confidence about him. The players will obviously respect him and look up to him and see him as someone that's going to bring good knowledge to the table, and someone that they can tap into as well. If things are a bit sort of clouded in their mind or whatever. We saw it with Madsbeck at the end. Not to say that he was clouded, but he's offering a little tidbit to him to help his development. So that's the big plus point I see with him coming into the club.
And Karleigh, joining a club midway through a season, for the squad that's already there, that can surely be quite a big thing because someone's coming into your group. So you've got to be careful. There needs to be the right personality. Not only that, he's come from a very high level. So there could be that, right, I'm here, I know what's going on. That doesn't seem to be the case with this man. He seems the most humble, level-headed, nice guy. Just like there's no ego there whatsoever, is there?
No, and obviously he's going to have fantastic experience. Like the level he's played at, the games, the people he's played against, the games, and he seems like a real nice, genuine person who's going to come in and knows what his role is going to be in terms of helping the squad get to where they want to get to, which is obviously getting promotion and being there to perform when he needs to perform. So it's a great bit of business and a good signing and a real positive one.
That's it. He just reeled off the players he played against. He's like, oh yeah, Markin, Bale, De Bruyne. You're like, all right, mate. Yep, go. Yeah, you probably know what you're doing then. Anyway, lads, that's it for another week. Can you believe it?
Can't believe it.
It's gone well quick this week. I mean, it is dark out there. Before we go, I did say we're going to give away a signed Sergi Canos Ultimate Team card, and I stick to my promises. For a chance to win the card, all you've got to do is like this video and comment below your favourite Sergi moment. Then next week, we'll pick one of you guys that has commented at random and you'll be getting the Ultimate Team card. Borough away tomorrow, back at it. A third meeting of the season with Neil Warnock's side. One big thing to tell you guys, obviously the only place to watch that game is iFollow. You can get your match passes at brentfordfc.com/iFollow. But a quick heads up, we will be using Borough's commentary for tomorrow's game. A warning about that, just in case you get there and you think your computer's broken or your iFollow's not working, you start smashing up your laptop. Don't worry, nothing's wrong with your laptop or iFollow. Unfortunately, for tomorrow's game, we're just going to be using the Middlesbrough service. But we'll be back for the Reading game, and the ambassador, you in particular, will be on co-coms, right?
Yes, I will be. Looking forward to it.
How many times are you going to mention the best ever goal you scored against Reading?
Maybe one more time by today, yeah.
I can't wait. Well, I'll be listening, mate. The days are getting longer, guys, and I wish I had longer with you both, but I don't. So it's time to say goodbye. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. You Reds!